Yo, and hello, everybody. Mike here, baseball collector. Today is Tuesday. I'm all geared up, ready to go to Rangers-Yankees today. Day-night doubleheader. I've actually got tickets to the early game, the 1 o'clock game. Judge is still sitting on 61, so maybe by the time a lot of you watch this, because I probably won't release this till later in the afternoon, he may have hit it already. I don't know. So excited to go. Maybe see history, at least watch Judge regardless. And I'm actually a pretty big fan of like Giancarlo Stanton. I think he's way underrated. Dude just needs to stay healthy, but it'll be good. Yeah, it's always good to go to a ball game. But today I'm doing a video response for a guy named John Keating, That 70's Card Show. And I missed the deadline. I think it was October 1st. I don't care. I'm still going to do this because this will be a fun thing to show my favorite cards from the 1970s. And I'll talk about that in a second. But first I want to talk about John because, you know, in this hobby, I have hundreds of people that I would call friends, right? But there are people that come along that you just make some extra connection with. You know, they just, whether it's the style of how they collect or their personality just clicks with yours, all kinds of different things. And John's one of those guys. We haven't been friends for a long, long time, maybe a year or so. But man, I feel such a kindred spirit with him. I love the way he is. His style on his channel totally hits home for me, and I can see how it might not hit home for everyone, but not me. I totally dig his sometimes snarkiness, sometimes he's a lot like Dave, Blue Jacket 66, who I of course love and am good friends with. But it's so important to find those people, right? Again, you can be friends with a lot of people, but you can't be good friends with everybody. It's just impossible. There's just not enough time in the day because a good friendship requires a commitment of time, a commitment of your soul a little bit. You know what I mean? You have to invest in that relationship. Otherwise, it's more of an acquaintance. And so that's probably more accurate. I have hundreds and hundreds of acquaintances in the hobby. And then a smaller circle of what I call really good friends. And John has kind of forced himself into that circle just because he's such a great guy and because he and I just click. You know, we're about the same age, we collect the same thing. I mean, there's just so many common threads, and so you'll find guys with those common threads, and hopefully they just, you know, mean something to you. It's because it's great to have friends in this hobby. Again, most of us don't have people outside of our network here to talk about cards with or show cards to or whatever. Last night I was on a FaceTime call with Mike, Junk Wax Hero, because he and I share a common passion for like Dick Perez Diamond Kings that are signed and stuff. And he did a video and I was like, man, I'm going to FaceTime Mike and just show him some stuff and just have fun because no one else would appreciate it, you know, or few others would appreciate it, I should say. But I knew Mike would, and so I interrupted this evening and did that with him. So again, there's just these connections I hope you guys can make out there in the hobby. And it doesn't have to be with YouTube guys, it can be with anybody. Just it's fun to pal around in the hobby. It's a great thing, people you can text with. And I know there's all these little segments, all the segments come together for different huge events like big card shows and stuff like that. But the reality is we all have probably a small network of people that we call close friends. So just appreciate that, and I hope you have that. Now let's get to the contest. 1970s cards, my favorite ones that are out there. 70s is probably my least favorite decade of cards from the vintage era. You know, if you think 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s and into 1980 or whatever. 70s are my least favorite. It feels like Topps just threw in the towel on a lot of the designs. It was pretty lame. So that's okay, but there are some really cool cards in the 70s that I love. I'm going to show them to you now. Let's flip this around. Hang on. All right, I'm going to go in kind of reverse chronological order. So I'm going to start with the oldest the closest one to 1980 and go backwards to 1970. I don't know how many cards I have here. Some of them I'll show together and all that, but I like the quirky. And so the first one, there's, I have so many 70s cards, and they're all great to some degree, but there's just some that I just love more. And this one's one of them. I love the cloth stickers idea. I mean, the idea that Topps tries these ideas. Let's do a cloth sticker. Someone will like it. Like, okay, sure, Topps. But they did, and here's the Nolan Ryan from that set in an 8. The back is just like hey, here's what you do. Peel it right here. I love the peel here. It gives a couple things about Nolan Ryan. Definitely not a normal card back. These are easy to distinguish in the 77 Topps, and they look different. Usually it's a more cropped photo, so like this is a more up close photo of Nolan than his regular 77 Topps. So that is my first one. I'll just put that down there. Next is this great card from 1976 Topps, the Kurt Bavacqua Bubblegum Blowing Champ. And so you have the Joe Garagiola Bazooka Bubblegum Blowing Contest. And you got the bazooka measuring stick there that will tell you how big your bubble got. Kurt Bavacqua, great Milwaukee Brewers player. And it even shows you on the back the championships and who all did it. I can't read it very well here, but you can go through the bracket and see who. It's just too funny to imagine watching this event happening. It's a totally 70s type of an event. So great card there. Next two kind of go together. I've got this all-time all-star set. I love it when Topps kind of recognizes all-time greats, and you'll see that theme throughout there because they did it several times in the 70s. And this card, this Ty Cobb card, is just so cool looking. I love the image of Cobb here, very classic image. And one of the partners to that is this Mickey Cochran. And the reason the Cochran's important to me and why it means a lot to me and why I love it is that it was given to me by John Keating, that 70s card show. He gave it to me as a gift. It was the one when he was here at my house looking through my 70s cards, he saw that I was missing the Cochran, and it was the only one out of this little subset that I was missing, and he generously bought it for me and had it and sent it to me. I mean, it's just for someone to do that is just awesome. And so I appreciated that from John. And so just love that set. I love the look of it. And there's just a lot of great players in it. Next up, these two go together. So in 1974, Topps was like, hey, the San Diego Padres are going to move to Washington and we're going to make cards like that. But, oh, wait, they didn't move. So we have to fix that. And so you have Willie McCovey, Hall of Famer, on here on two different cards in the 74 Topps. You have the Washington and then the San Diego version, both of which are super cool. The Washington, I believe, is the short print of those two. The corrected version is more common, but both really cool cards. And just cool to have them both and be like, I love that they kind of goofed and then made an assumption and then fixed it. So the Willie McCovey 74, super cool. You're going to see several cards from this set because it's my birth year set, and so I just kind of have an affinity to it. I know a lot of people that don't like 73 Topps. I'm not one of them, although it's certainly not the greatest set ever. But the Johnny Bench card is pretty classic. You got Bench running towards the dugout to catch a foul ball in the air. Good action shot, cool shot of Bench. It'd be cool if it was closer, but I get it. The photography in 73 Topps leaves a lot to be desired, but one of the coolest cards of Johnny Bench, no doubt. He has a lot of cool cards in the 70s. The 73 Topps Willie Mays. This is Mays' last card, last regular card. He has a card in the 74 Topps set, but it's a World Series card. But the 73 Mays, showing him on the Mets after his entire career with the Giants. So cool for him to go back to New York. Just I think the Mets played in the Polo Grounds until Shea Stadium was built. This was probably when Shea had already been built at this point, I'm pretty sure. But for him to go back to New York to finish out his career. The Mets went to the World Series in '73. No one would have thought, and this is just a cool card of May's in a weird uniform. The last 73 Topps card I'm going to show is this one. When I was a kid, you got to remember I was an 80s kid, so anything in the 70s felt old to me, like, because it's all relative to your age. So as an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, anything in the 70s felt like an eternity ago, even though I was born in 73. This card always had a special place in my heart just because it showed Ruth Aaron May's all-time home run leaders. This is obviously before. Mays ended up with 660. Aaron ended up with, 755. So they both had a little bit more to go. At the time, Ruth was still the home run leader, home run king, and I just loved this card. And it's card number 1 of the set, so it's super hard to get in really good grade. I do have another 73 card to show, though. It's this Calby Sadahara O. I bought this at the National this year, and my first Japanese card ever, first Sadahara O card, and just, I don't know, I love getting this weird stuff. I love getting this stuff that's not normal. I mean, you can always buy a Topps card, those are always available, but finding these unusual things like the claw stickers, like some other things you're going to see, just, again, I could have showed you any number of regular old issued Topps cards from the 70s, but I like weird, like this 72 Kellogg's all-time baseball greats. I chose the Gehrig, but I really love this entire set. I love the 3D design. This is taken after the 1970, like there's another set in 1970, the roll gold. I just totally went blank on what it is. It's another set, a bread set, I think, or something. And I have the Gehrig from that set as well. But the same design, just copied by Kellogg's in 1972. And I have this entire set graded. This Gehrig happens to be a 9, which is awesome because these Kellogg's cards will crack or, warp over time. And so but if you want to get like a cool card of an old player, these are reasonably affordable. So I love that set. It's not the last Kellogg's card you're going to see, by the way. 71, such a great set. I actually love the black border. It's different. It is difficult, obviously, condition-wise. But this card means a lot to me significantly because this card represents the first card I ever bought from my friend Craig. And Craig, he's been on the channel many times on Golden Age of Cardboard. He's a dealer. Go to the National, him and his wife Holly, and he and I have become friends. And I remember this card distinctly, buying it from them at the 2018 National in Chicago. And so that was the first time I met, 2019 in Chicago, not 2019 in Chicago. Bought this card, he gave me a great deal on it. It's a beautiful Clemente for 71, and this was pre-pandemic, pre-craziness, and so cards weren't this was still an expensive card, but just so glad to pick that up, and more so because it introduced me to Craig and Holly and the friendship that's come from that, as I talked about earlier. Funny how cards help you connect. You can think about who you were with, where you were, who you bought it from, those kinds of things. I don't think any list of 70s greatest cards is complete without the 71 Thurman Munson. I mean, one of the greatest action shots of all time. You got the Rookie Cup. So much going on here. Munson, criminally underrated. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. His career was cut short, obviously, by the plane crash where he passed away. But this is a very tough card in high grade. Very expensive card in high grade. So I have a 5. I've owned it forever. But it's just absolutely fantastic. And my last card of the 70s, I will quit boring you, is the first year of the Kellogg's, which was 1970, I believe. Someone can correct me down below if I'm wrong, but I think that's cool. Near mint 8 on the 70 Kellogg's Clemente. I've had this card forever. This is my only 70 Kellogg's card. I'm actually thinking about doing some player runs of the Kellogg stuff, just because I think they're great and they're different. But in terms of Hall of Famer runs for different years. This is the first one, and I know John recently got the Reggie Jackson from this set, which is really cool. He got it raw, but so there's the Clemente. Again, these are very condition sensitive from cracking and different stuff. So that is it for this episode. Thank you, John, for running a contest. Thank you for being a great friend. Really appreciate you and what you do for this community and for the hobby. So I will catch you guys soon. Keep collecting.